What's up, guys? UFC 271 tonight. Cannot wait. I'm really looking forward to it. Got work out of the way. All done for the rest of today. The kids are all kind of settled down, which is all pretty nice. And I'm just really here to talk some UFC 271. I'm going to be doing this, I think, for the pay-per-views and really just trying to get myself more content out there because that's what I want to do. I want to try and do more content, and doing it before fight day, do it before the fight start is just the best way for me to talk about, because I put my predictions out on Monday. Things do change throughout the week. My views change a little bit, but this is merely for you guys to kind of interact with me a little bit, throw in questions, throw in what opinions you have going for yourselves tonight. Who are you picking? Who are you betting DraftKings wise? I'm going to be talking a little bit about that, where I'm going. It's just MMA fans come together, talking some fights. I'm going to see if I can maybe get a guest or two, can maybe drop in here, and maybe they can talk some fights with me. But yeah, let's get into the fight card. I've got some bets made. I've got some spots that I really do like. There's not too much that I like betting straight underdog wise this week. The kind of underdogs that I picked, Brunson and Knight and Whittaker, are ones that I don't feel super confident in, even though I have one bet on one of those guys I just mentioned. So the only one I have a bet on, kind of straight bet so far, is Robert Whittaker. I had to get back to the fact that if I'm going to be betting underdogs, or if I'm going to be picking underdogs, now I know in my predictions I was saying it was kind of heart over head, but if I'm going to be picking them and I legitimately think they've got a chance to win, then I have to bet them. So I've got 1 unit plus 240 on Robert Whittaker to get his belt back. And like I say, some of the other dogs that I really did kind of like were William Knight, but I mean, geez, he came in 12 pounds over the limit last night. Not a good look. That to me just screams that something bad happened. An injury could be present. I think he did take the fight on pretty super short notice, or shorter notice, what I should have said. And yeah, I just think that William Knight right now, I don't think he's going to have much in him. I think Grisham might actually kind of turn up on him a little bit in the mid part of this fight there. So I'm just going to go in and say hello to some of you guys in the chat. Hey, Will, what's up? I am good. Laughing my ass off. Hope you're well. Rahman, who's your favourite underdog tonight? Right. So as the kind of weeks kind of wore on, I have, like I said, the other underdogs that I kind of like, there's such a high gap at the top of the slate that you're going to have to play guys you're a little bit uncomfortable with. And I think my favourite one is actually tied to Ivasa, but he's a guy that I've heard quite a lot about as being a kind of favourite underdog coming into this week. And honestly, I think that it's not the worst play in the world. If your guys are going to come out there, meet in the middle, throw heavy leather, all it takes is just a clip in the chin and both these guys could go down. So for me, I think the dog I'm playing the most is tied to Ivasa, followed by Robert Whittaker. But I am playing a bit of Roxanne Modafferi. I am playing some Blood Diamond. Even though I don't like the guy that's fighting, I think Alexander Hernandez, I've got a little bit of, just in case he cracks the chin on Moicano a little bit. So I'm kind of leaning on the Tuivasa side, and the Tuivasa side and probably the Whittaker side. So that's kind of where I'm going. Labyrinth UFC Breakdown. Well, good seeing you. I'm on Brunson tonight. Brunson's actually one I was initially on, and thank you for the $4. That's much appreciated. Thank you very much. Brunson was one I was on initially in the beginning of the week, and I don't know why my eyes have started turning towards kind of Cannonier. I managed to watch a little bit more of these guys and more of the fights, and Cannonier's takedown defense is pretty stellar. I think he can get him down. I just don't think he'll be able to hold him down. And on the feet, I think Cannonier could be super, super slick with his striking and could ultimately maybe put it on Brunson. But I have got a little bit of him, not so much Cannonier. So yeah, Kiro, what's up, my man? Hope you're very, very well. I'm really looking forward to this fight card. I think it's a well put together fight card, honestly. And then when you move into your kind of main card, I think there's really good, solid fights throughout. There's storylines I'm looking forward to seeing. Casey O'Neill was someone that I thought, yeah, I think she's got an opportunity to finish this fight. But as the fight week goes on, I'm thinking, I think that Roxanne could be like super live. I think our betting line is kind of crazy. I think it's plus 450 for Casey over here in the UK. That's a little high for me for a girl that's 8-0, 3-0 in the UFC, making the jump into that top 15. Say what you want about Roxanne, she might be one of the easier fights in that division. Easier and as a way of like people that are up there that are dangerous. Roxy's not super dangerous. She's super experienced. Will be in that fight, especially in our last fight. We'll be in there till the dying end, trying to get this win in our last fight. And I've kind of steamed off Casey a little bit, but I do think that if she was to get that mount position, I think she could stop the fight. She lays some heavy, solid, heavy striking down with the ground and pound. So yeah, sorry. Tai Tuivasa has the highest upside. I agree. He could get a first round knockout, but he could also get taken out in the first couple of minutes there. Excited to see Blood Diamond. Heard great things. I'll be honest with you, Kiro. When I was watching him, I wasn't super impressed with his striking, but you can see he's deadly. I was watching some interviews with Eugene Behrman, and he says he's a guy that he will set a game plan up for him, but he just really doesn't take to game plans. He does his own thing. He goes for high tariff striking. Will come in with step-in knees, with high kicks. I was a little bit, when I was watching him initially, I was like getting super excited. It's like seeing that new shiny toy and seeing things where you're like, oh, he's quite like very, very active with his striking. We'll throw a lot of funky shit. We'll go after it. But then you kind of realize he's 3-0. He's been out for 2 years. Don't know about his ground game. The fight with Gillies, I think it was, he was getting pushed against the cage. I was like, I don't like that, especially a guy like Wales, who's a big, static dude, could potentially take him down to the ground and just kind of ride him out there and maybe get a sub. I just think that, I don't know, I've got a funny feeling with that fight. That's why I'm playing a little bit of Blood Diamond in DraftKings, because it would not surprise me if he catches him with some funky shit and knocks him out. But on the other hand, it wouldn't surprise me if I see Jeremiah Wales kind of run through him a little bit. So I'm excited to see him. MMA Genius, any dogs you like this week? Like I said, I like a little bit of Whittaker. I like a bit of Tuivasa. I like a little bit of Brunson. Outside of that, I'm not super confident in many kind of other spots. So yeah. Blood Diamond, B Diamond versus Wales, no distance is the play for me. I think the under 2.5 earlier this week was at a decent number in the UK. I went away for a few hours, came back in, it was kind of not in the best of positions there. So, yeah, I've got a funny feeling about that fight. I really, really do. I think that I'm just interested to see Blood Diamond, because I'm always a little bit interested with these fighters, champions who bring other fighters into the organization. We've got a few of them here. We've got Ulberg. To be fair, he came through the contender series, got his opportunity there, and then came in and got his win. Then I thought he looked okay against Kennedy, and he just couldn't take out the African Savage. And now he's got, I think, an easier fight here in Fabio Charant. But then you've got Malkoun, who came in with Robert Whittaker. We've got Artem, who came in with Connor to an extent. Anderson Silva's had guys that come into the UFC with who probably didn't deserve to be there. We've had the Diaz brothers with certain guys, Martin Sano and so, all that coming into the UFC where they probably shouldn't be there. So I'm just interested. And for the first fight of the night, like if I was in Houston, I would never miss fights. If you buy a ticket, you get there early, you watch the fights, and don't come in for like the main card and stuff like that. It just makes no sense to me. But I'm interested in that fight to see what Blood Diamond's all about. It's just interesting when you say the name Blood Diamond and what he's going as. It's really, really interesting there. Actually, why is that fight not in the fight card anymore? Something happened? No. So some of the fights I'm thoroughly looking forward to. watching tonight is Ronnie Lawrence. Honestly, I think Ronnie Lawrence is. I'm really interested to see how he reacts after he had obviously the botch weight cut. He had COVID issues, and he had trouble like making weight last time. But I think this guy is one of these. I can think it was Dan on Half the Battle was saying these guys are super serious. With your Nick Maximov that we saw last week, these guys who can just go for numerous takedowns, hold on when the fight gets back to the feet, get takedowns again. These dogged guys with their grappling, they are really interesting to me. And Ronnie Lawrence looks like tonight, if he avoids that striking on Amanda Martinez, who's got fairly decent striking. He's got one punch power. We've seen that in the regionals that are then to put out there in Texas when he fought for Fury FC, that if he lands that killer blow, he could really hurt him. But I think if Ronnie gets his hands on him and just starts throwing him around a little bit, I think Manny Martinez is in for a really rough night. And I've got the bets that I have tonight. I've got a parlay of Carlos Ulberg and Ronnie Lawrence. I think it's plus 105. I've got, let me bring up my bets actually. Bet MMA Tips is where you'll find all my plays for tonight. I tell you what, I actually might make another couple of bets before the night is actually out. So there's a couple of spots that I like. Let me just bring this up. Sorry, guys, I should have had this ready to go, but so it's not letting me in too much. There we go. Profile. Right, so my plays that I have tonight, I've actually got 4 plays as of right now. I can probably see another 1 or 2 coming in right before fight time, and I'm looking at DraftKings lineups and getting stuff ready through that. So Kiro asked one of the questions in the chat there, did I bet Robert Whittaker? I did. I bet him this afternoon, plus 240. I think that line's a little high now. Israel could come out here, and this could just be the kryptonite for Robert Whittaker, where he can't fight a guy like Izzy who measures his distance very well, counters very well. Overall, he's just a very solid champion in the UFC. I mean, you're not a bum fighter if you're a champion, like in any sport. And I used one of my things there as where I think if Robert can get takedowns. Now, Robert is not someone who predominantly comes out and gets takedowns and heavy top time, and I don't really see him getting like a lot of top time, but I do see him getting reactionary takedowns, and we've seen it. Izzy, I mean, he got taken down 3 or 4 times against Vittori, but ultimately he got back to his feet, and once he got back to his feet, that striking is just so superior and so clean and so fluid that he could catch Robert when he's leaping in. That is my biggest thing that I'm kind of looking out for here, is just if he has to pick his moments well. I mean, maybe the Romero fight, that was a blood and guts fight. Maybe those took years off his kind of career. But I like the fact that, I mean, there was definitely stuff in that first fight that was happening where he was in a little bit of trouble, probably personally. And I mean, all the pressure of being a champ is, I couldn't imagine having to do all the things that he did and defend the belt and so on. I just think this fight's going to play out a lot closer, and I like taking a shot at plus 240. Like I say, it might turn out that it might be not the greatest looking bet, but I'm going to go with sticking with my underdog play there and going for it. Like I said, I was going on about the parlay I have, plus 105 on Ulberg and Lawrence. I've got Bobby Green. I've got a couple of units on him at plus 190 to win by decision. Now, you could play that straight, I think, minus 140. But for me, I just think I don't see him knocking out Haqparast, even though he's been hit a couple of times. I think Bobby's just going to give this kid the vet lesson. I really do. As the fight weeks went on, I just feel that Bobby, it could potentially be like a 29-28 fight where Haqparast could land some shots, but it's just that one shot that you really have to look out for with Haqparast, and that's that fast, slick left hand. I think Bobby's just a little bit too experienced, in my opinion, to get caught with that one shot. So I like that bet. Also, I bet Kyler Phillips to win by submission. I see holes in the game of Rojo, and I think he can get him down, and I think he can get him out there in the first 2 rounds at plus 550. The other bet that which I really like is Hanato Moicano to win by submission in rounds 2 and 3. I think I'm going to throw a little something on that, and it's plus 700. So I actually really like that. I like that bet personally. There's nothing too much I'm looking at outside of that. Straight plays, I'm not really big on that. So I'll go back to the chat here. I remember when Connor brought in Charlie Ward. I mean, Jesus, yeah. Bill McHugh, Modafferi is a live dog. I kind of spoken a little bit about that. I kind of believe that she is. And like I said, I would wholeheartedly like Casey to win, obviously, for the Scottish connections and all that jazz. But I just think that there is a chance that Roxanne could come out here. And I mean, she's not going to lie down for Casey. You know, she's going to fight her heart out. And I don't actually begrudge anybody taking an underdog shot on Modafferi at that price. I really don't. I think that she is a very, I want to say like earlier on in the week, I was like, is she a live dog? And I wasn't too sure because Casey's shown everything that I like in fighters coming to the UFC. She's been dogged. I like her cardio. And every fight, I think she's going to get better. But like I say, she's not really taking a hell of a lot of time in between fights to grow her game, in my opinion. She's kind of going from fight camp to fight camp, fight camp, fight camp. I think it's her fourth fight. So I don't think she's making massive progressions in her game. She's kind of really going from fight camp to fight camp. And that might be enough right now, but now she's on the verge of that top 15. If she's not in there, I think she is actually number 15. She has to start improving every skill set if she wants to move into that top 10. Now, I think she's got a winnable fight tonight, but I really do think she's got to make improvements in her game going forward. And like I said, I hope she gets it done. Hopefully it's no too vicious on old Roxanne, because I like her to kind of go out on her shield with fighting a really tough fight against a young up-and-comer and just being the kind of women's legend that she is in the sport. So I do think she is kind of live. I am playing a little bit in DraftKings with her. Minus 125 for the Izzy versus Reaper fight to go the distance. Thoughts? I think it's going to go to decision. I don't think... I mean, Izzy can knock him out at any point. We've seen that he's got that sharp strike and he can hurt him with jabs. And then if Robert kind of comes in a little bit too much, he can clip him with shots and put him down. So for me, I actually like, and I don't know what this bet is. One of my favourite prop bets that I look at every single week, and I've actually not looked at it this week, and I maybe actually should, considering I'm picking Robert to win. It's maybe having a look at Robert to win in rounds 4, 5 or decision. Now, that's my favourite prop bet. I made that last week with Sean Strickland. I thought that was a really good bet. I think it was plus 140, plus 150 for that. And that might not be a bad one there, especially if he can bank a couple of rounds early on. He might have an opportunity to come out there and at least win the decision, maybe an opportunity to knock out in the 4th and 5th. I very much doubt that's going to happen. And the Izzy side, that might not be a bad looking bet either. But I think if Robert wins, I don't think he stops him. I think he has to win a decision. So, and I think he can. Otherwise, I wouldn't put my money on it. So, I just don't see how Modafferi wins. Her wins are usually against strikers, but O'Neill is really good ground. She's a really good ground game that we've seen on top. On the bottom, we've not seen too much. I don't think yet. I still think there's spots there, but I have seen her sweep people before. And I have heard from people that are in around that she's very strong in the kind of grappling sense there. But like I say, I've got Casey, but I'm not as confident as I was earlier on in the week there. So, hello, bro. I'm from Afghanistan. When Bobby Green versus Nasrat Haqparast fight. Thank you. Hope you're doing well in Afghanistan, EFG boy. I know you'll be supporting Nasrat tonight. I like Bobby Green. I like that old legend. I mean, the guy's been in the UFC for 10 plus years. A really, really solid fighter. Doesn't get stopped. You only get stopped by, I think it's Pori off the top of my head, that he's been stopped by. And he's just clever. He's crafty. I like fighters like that. I like crafty fighters. I just don't see how he wins tonight. But like I say, earlier on in the week, I was looking into Nasrat and I was like, how is this guy not kind of improving, being at TriStar, being at King's MMA, and not progressing? Maybe it's just not came yet, but it might come very, very soon. But but I like Bobby tonight. I can't go against old Bobby. What's up, Will? I'm good, thank you very much. Z, what's happening, my man? Glad to see you back, Will. I'm a legend. I'm a legend in my own mind. That's all. I'm a legend in. But good to see you, Z. Hope you got your bets tonight, and good luck with that. There, I think Izzy ends it in the first half of the fight. Like I say, I've had people message me saying that I made a bad pick with going Whittaker. You can't be serious with the pick you made. It's look, this is just my thoughts and my feelings on the fight. Izzy could come out here. Would it surprise me if I seen like a 50-45? Maybe a little, because I think Robert is an elite talent. He's a really good champion. But I just think Robert's going to fight closer this time. I mean, this is kind of maybe a little bit do or die for Robert. What does he do after this? He's not going to go up to 205. He's not going to drop back down. So he has to kind of lay it all on the line, get out there, swing some shots, try and put it on Izzy. And like I say, when's Izzy going to really hit that point where, like, I'm a champion, he becomes a little bit bored, he's not sure about what's going on, what's next, because he's not going to go up to 205, I don't think, anytime soon. There's too many beasts up there for him at the minute. He's probably got a load of rematches probably coming through, even though he's beat Vittori, and there's another rematch there. Cannonier, obviously, or Brunson could be up next. This is a big fight for Izzy as well. He's just signed that new deal. So well done to the guy for getting his money there. I've always been a fan of Robert Whittaker. I've been a fan of Izzy's. Whittaker, I've just loved his come up through tough smashes. Went through 170, did okay there, had to move up a bit eventually, and then he went on such a great run. I remember betting him in some spots. I think the Jacare fight, I absolutely nailed to a T, second round submission, avoid getting taken down, and I nailed it. I can't remember the price I got on him that night, but I know it was a healthy, might have been plus 200 maybe, against Jacare Souza that night. And that was, I remember watching that fight and going absolutely nuts watching that, like 3 a.m. So yeah, Whittaker didn't look himself in the first time around. Coming back, he looks a lot sharper. He looks fresh. To me, he looks a lot mentally fresh. He's had a long time off before this fight. I still think Izzy takes it, but much, much better fights this time around, in my opinion. So, yeah, like I say, I'm really looking forward to that fight. I was talking about fights that I'm looking forward to on this card. And like I said, I was going about Ronnie Lawrence, this one there. I'm interested to see. I can't get a good read on the AJ Dobson against Jacob Malkoun, because I was impressed with what I seen from Jacob Malkoun against Razak Al Hassan. I mean, that was a tough fight coming into the UFC against Phil Hawes, getting starts in like 20 seconds, and then you've got that guy with one of the most ferocious power punchers in the UFC there, and he handled them accordingly with takedowns, numerous takedowns in that fight, and holding him down a little bit. And that's where I think he could go here. I think initially he has to avoid the kind of sprint that's going to come from AJ Dobson, because he's come out and said he's going to go forward. If you watch his fights previously, he comes out very, very fast, very quick. Now he could catch Jacob. And this is one in DraftKings I'm looking at, right, thinking, I think tonight I'm going to have maybe 20 lineups, and I know I'm going to have more Malkoun over AJ Dobson, but I think it's a fight that in that mid-range at 8,000 and 8,200 that might be one of those ones that you could get maybe over 100 points, especially in the Malkoun with the takedowns, and AJ Dobson if he gets the knockout very, very quickly. So like I say, I'm putting a hefty amount into DraftKings tonight. I'm a little bit uncomfortable with some of my lineups, and in the past when I've did that, I've actually did pretty well. So hoping tonight I'm in the big tournaments. Hopefully I can be a little bit different to the however many people play those tournaments and cash something fairly decent. But just really looking forward to this card. I think it's a very well put together card actually. Carlos Ulberg, I'm looking forward to seeing how he. I mean, I was just a little bit like, I mean, Carlos, you had that dude hurt badly in that first round against Kennedy Nzechukwu, and you were landing it well, you were going for it, but just that African beast, that African steel, the kid just wouldn't go down. Like, he would not like stop coming forward eventually, and it was just eating a load of shots, which would have put a lot of guys away. And Sharan, I'm not impressed at all. I think like I say, I'm sitting here saying that I shouldn't really be saying that, because he could come out there and maybe stop Ulberg, but I'm fairly confident that he gets it done tonight. Sharan, he can go to his fight ready and Sanford MMAs. I think we've seen his kind of ceiling. I don't see him potentially moving forward. I don't really see him in the UFC after this fight. So interested in that one. Talking about, like, I cannot stand Alexander Hernandez. Like, and he's been piping up this week, right, talking about he should be in the pay-per-view, and initially he wasn't in the pay-per-view. And now, looking at the updated list, I can see that Kyler Phillips has moved to the prelims, and Alexander Hernandez and Moicano's moved to the main card, which I don't hate, but he's coming out saying, why am I down there? Cub Swanson came out with a great tweet saying, look, be appreciative and like try and build UFC Fight Pass, which I agree with. But yeah, I've just got this feeling that he's going to come out quick, as he usually does. You can come out quick against your Mike Breedens and your Krutz markers, but when you've got a guy like Moicano who's been in there with the best of the best at 145, like the talent that he's fought down there, your Korean Zombies, your Aldos, your Swanson, your Caters, your Ortegas, I mean, Jeremy Stevens, they're the elite guys of that division, and they have been for the past 5 years. And he's been in there, and he's won some and he's lost some. But, I mean, I think he's won the fights at 155 that you would expect him to win. Damir Hadzovic, Jai Herbert, he kind of ran through those guys accordingly, and I would expect that. The Fiziev one, he got knocked out. Fiziev's a beast. It's a little bit unlucky that fight next week has it's kind of fell by the wayside and has moved to UFC 272, which again, if you weren't with me for the predictions through the week there, I am going to go on Clint's show, the Die Hard MMA podcast, and me and Clint are going to chop that card up and talk about it from a degenerate kind of betting standpoint and give our predictions and picks and our views on that one there. So to go as the co-main event, I think it's a 5-round co-main event as well. I'm all for that. So yeah, let me see. I've seen you on the first page of Tapology lately, brother. Well, I've did all right with some of my predictions. Like I say, that break that I had the end of last year to welcome my baby boy into the world and move home. And I mean, I've been doing this for a long time, guys. I was actually thinking about this today, and I was like my birthday's coming up in May, and I'm getting kind of closer to 40 than I am 30 now. And I was kind of, back then I had no kids. I just had making my predictions and going through there. So, I mean, it's been a lot of predictions and a lot of hours being on videos and watching fights, but I really wouldn't have it any other way, honestly. I think that it's just the best sport in the world. One of the greatest things you can watch, honestly. Once it gets you, it gets you. I love going to fights, which is something I am desperate to get back to, is going to live fights. It's been, oh wow, let me see. It's nearly 4 years since I was at my last fight, that is scary if true. Let me just check this. And it was the Darren Till Wonder Boy fight. When was that fight? Let me bring that up. 2018. So nearly 4 years since I've been to my last set of fights for the UFC. I am looking at maybe going abroad this year over to America to watch some fights. I think it's going to be after the summer if I'm going to be going overseas a little bit, but it's something I definitely want to do. Now I've bought the house. This room that I'm in, I'm going to change. It's we've got a little bit of storage issue here. I've got a lot of stuff there, old computers and PlayStation 2 games I'm seeing there, and Xbox 360 games, which I'm going to have to get rid of, and I'm going to change this kind of into my little kind of studio, you could say, where I can hopefully make better content, more content, because that's what I want to do. Like I say, I've probably missed the boat. I mean, I've been around a long time. Some of these people you see nowadays, like MMA Lock of the Night. I've got so much respect for that guy, for the work that he puts in, and the fact that he could move his channel into a spot where he doesn't have to work. He stays at home. He's got all these side gigs with your what's it, the fights. I forgot the name of them. Fight Library. I forgot the name of it. Him and Newsom, where he puts fights on for all the guys out there. He makes great content now with the coaches. You should go check that out. His predictions, propping you up. That's what I would have loved my channel to be. And I could have probably did that 4 or 5 years ago before my kids came around. And that's kind of the dream, is to do that and do like 45 videos a week, be at home, concentrate on that. But like I say, that's probably sailed past. The fact that I've got even close to 4,000 followers or subs, it's kind of mind-blowing to me. But I'm just happy with what comes my way. My channel's a little bit slower nowadays after that break. I'm looking to pick it back up. So I just need you guys to throw a thumbs up in the video and subscribe if you're new to the channel, and hopefully I can kind of gain a little bit of momentum like I did a little bit a few years back. But like I say, life changes, priorities change. My priorities have definitely changed. It's all about my 2 kids and getting this house kind of finally finished. We've got a lot of work still to do, but I'm going to change this whole room here. I'm going to have more screens. I'm going to upgrade everything from my computer to audio to cameras, whatever I can. That is the kind of goal. Might be a little bit to my expense, but I would love to kind of be on a par where, like Lock of the Night, I like I said, I go back to Manpreet and the work that guy's done just to get himself. He's got a great Patreon following. If you could get that, like the fact that the guy doesn't have to work, I'm such a jealous dude for that. Because like I said, today I was working 5 a.m. to 6 p.m. Came home, had some dinner. The kids are all calm. They're all settled down with mum. So I say, it's like, I'm going to do this here when I'm going to come out and talk about the pay-per-view fights tonight. So I just want to like get a wee bit better at this. Like I say, I want to learn some new things this year regarding cameras and making thumbnails. You've probably seen for the pay-per-views. I've tried to make a wee bit different there, and not just have the UFC stuff that I go and steal and put on there. So yeah, but like I say, I probably missed the boat with that, but I'm still happy speaking to any of you guys. Like the one thing that I love is people coming onto Twitter, sending DMs, and people get surprised when I message them and start speaking to them. I'm like, dude, I'm just a normal dude that loves watching fights. I don't put myself in any pedestal at all. I will speak with anybody about fights, honestly. Just don't be negative. Like, don't bring any negativity into my life. And that's some things that people have done in the past. I'm a very positive guy. And there's too many dickheads out there like to bring you down, and don't bow down to being around people like that. I will talk fights with anyone. So what's going on here? Guys in another YouTube channel, there's a deformed kid broadcasting, and me and the boys are all there taking the piss out of him. It's funny as fuck. Come and enjoy for a laugh. No, that's not my type of gig, mate. I'll leave you to that. Like I say, I'm just yeah, that's not for me. So I'd kind of rather not have stuff like that, pal. So guys, if you get any questions there in the chat, throw them in. I'm kind of looking over some of my DraftKings plays for tonight, and I'm really trying to see where I'm going to go up top. I think I am more in line with going with Ronnie Lawrence. Is definitely going to be my highest guy that I'm probably going to play quite a bit of. I'm going to go pretty hard on him. Initially, it was Casey O'Neill, but I've kind of backed off of that a little bit, and I'm kind of moving down to Carlos Ulberg because I've got a funny feeling he's going to win in the first round of this fight here. I think he's going to knock out Sharon. I think that he's there to be knocked out in the first round, so playing a lot of him. And then obviously I was going about Kyler Phillips. I think he's got a great opportunity to win this fight in the first few rounds, get a submission. That's why I bet him at plus 550 to win via sub there. Just a wee half unit thrown on there, and hopefully can come through. And what was the other one there that I quite liked? Like I said, I think I'm definitely going to be playing more Tai Tuivasa than Derek Lewis. And I picked Lewis to win the fight. And I've got him kind of via a pretty boring decision. But then the more the weeks went on, I'm like, how do these guys not kind of just start swinging heavy leather at one another? I'd be surprised if this goes to decisions. So that was a little bit a kind of crappy prediction, is picking Lewis by decision. But like I say, weirder things have happened. He's had those fights in the past where people don't engage. But I find it weird that I would find it weird if Ty doesn't come out there and throw some heavy leather. So, yeah. Other bets that have kind of been what does this mean? Are you a fan of? What does that mean, bro? Just see a question mark. I don't know. Is anybody going to UFC London? Because I know I've got a couple of people that were watching that messaged me saying, "Are you going online tonight?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm going to do something for an hour or so." And like I said, I was going to go to UFC London, had everything ready to go, and then went and spoke to the missus about it, and she says, "You do realise I'm actually going to be in London the exact same weekend with both our sisters and our mum." I was like, aye, no way. So I'll be looking after the kids that weekend. A fan of boxing. Right, here we go. So I've spoke about this in the past. My dad's actually a boxing coach. And he was a boxer himself many, many years ago. And now he's a coach back where I'm originally from. And he's got a couple of guys, I think, coming into their late teens that are doing very well. He's got some guys there that have won some medals. They've boxed for Scotland. I've always been kind of round about it a little bit, but I've never been a super big fan. Back in the day, I used to always watch Roy Jones Jr. fights. One of the earlier memories that I remember, and one of the fights I was so hyped for, was him against John Ruiz when he moved up to heavyweight. Me and my best friend, we were so amped for that fight. We stayed up to the middle of the night. I fell asleep right before the main event. He woke me up, and I just remember watching that fight. What's the other one that I love? Diego Corrales against Jose Luis Castillo was one of my favourite fights. I go back and watch that quite a bit. But I wouldn't say I'm a big fan. It's not something that I keep up to date with. If it's on, I will watch it, but I'll not be super invested in it. Not even like the big fights or Tyson Furies. You won't catch me staying up watching that. If I get the opportunity to watch it the next day, then I would do so. But like I said, I watch it to an extent, but I think it's been a bit of a dying sport for a little bit. I don't want to say a dying sport. It's just a sport that they've not put the big fights together, but there's so many talented, good boxers. Your Golovkins, your Lomachenkos, Terence Crawford. I'm probably missing people out. But Roy Jones Jr. was the guy that I would absolutely sit there. I would pay my money to watch that guy when he was in his prime. He was something else. Always used to love watching Bernard Hopkins. Kind of completely different fight. You had the slickness of Roy Jones Jr., but then you had the super defense of Bernard Hopkins. Wouldn't let you get off on him. Would stifle guys. Would frustrate guys and just outpoint them. I used to like watching a little bit of Bernard Hopkins as well. So, who do you think is the best conditioned fighter in the UFC? Best conditioned fighter. I wouldn't really know. Off the top of my head, honestly, I'm not the greatest when it's like that. Most conditioned fighter. I'm sure some of you guys in their chat could probably tell me a little bit more about that. Much love, Will. Everybody smash the like button. What's up, my man? Dan Levy, Half the Battle. You know what's up with those guys. Every Thursday, I think it's 10:30 a.m. his time. You always need to check that out. The only reason I remember that is because I finish work round about the same time. So I'm on the train home, and I'm straight into Half the Battle. Shaq and Dan just breaking it down. And also check out Dan's Tuesday Night Contender videos that he puts out. He's been smashing that lately with Bilal Muhammad, Jamal Hill. We've had Billy Q. We've had them all. So, and he's got more lined up, let me tell you. So always go and support those guys. Dan is the man. So Usman and Colby. There we go. Dan's probably a little bit more better to answer questions like that, kind of off the cuff. And that, like I said, I'm really interested. What do you guys think of the Masvidal Colby fight? Because I'm really interested. And actually, while Dan's there, this kind of made me think because he interviewed Bilal Muhammad, and I think Bilal came out and said, like, we've seen, I can't remember the words exactly, it was a couple of weeks ago. It's like probably Masvidal's seen everything that he's going to get from Colby, where maybe we've not seen that from the Masvidal side. Now, I might be kind of getting that wrong and a little bit, but that was an intro. I'll have to go back and listen to that because that's something I do remember Bilal Muhammad saying when they were talking about that fight that was really, really interesting to me. I never really thought of that. Like maybe Jorge has seen everything that Colby's going to bring to him. He's maybe had everything, and maybe Colby's not had that from Masvidal. So I'm really interested in that fight. I actually think Masvidal's super live, but Colby is, I think it's pretty clear, he's the number 2 guy in that division. But I'm interested to see where he goes because, I mean, he's fought Usman hard. He loses this to Masvidal. Where does he really go from here? His shtick isn't really sticking around as much anymore after losing a couple of fights. So it's a big fight for Colby. Really looking forward to that fight in a month's time or whenever it will be. So, like I said, they've got a great co-main event with Fiziev and Dos Anjos. I'm just really looking forward to that fight. In fact, let me bring up that card. I want to bring up UFC 272. I know we're supposed to be looking at UFC 271. But since we're talking about UFC 272, let's go and have a quick look. I think Umar Nurmagomedov got added to that card as well. So, I mean, good fights. Kelleher against Nurmagomedov, Dos Anjos, Fiziev. I think I'm interested to see that Tim Elliott line. I don't know if the lines are out for that fight yet, but Tajir, I've been a little bit lucky betting him in a couple of spots where I probably got away with it. And Tim Elliott, I do think is kind of on his way out a little bit. Manon Fiorot should blast through Jessica Eye there. Kevin Holland against Alex Oliveira. That's going to be a fun one. Looking forward to this one, actually. This is going to be a good fight. Jalen Turner against Jamie Malarkey. 2 guys I think are on the come up a little bit. Really moved himself up the ladder a little bit with the previous performances. And then you've got the kind of bad blood between Morose and Agapova. Edson against Bryce Mitchell. That's really interesting. I'm interested to see. I've always faded Bryce Mitchell, and he's made me look like an absolute mug in many occasions. So I'm interested to see kind of how that goes. And then you've got Rodriguez against Yan Xiaonan. That's such a good fight as well. So that's a really solid main event. Wins a really solid card, I should say. That's March the 5th. So, geez, that's not even, is that 3 weeks? Yeah, 1, 2, 3 weeks. So it's not even that far off. It's just great having back-to-back UFCs back. That little break after coming back from the new year has really set us up for the next few months there, where we're going into a good run of fights, a lot of good main events. Like I say, I'm really interested in next week's main event with Jamal Hill against Johnny Walker, because I've never been the biggest fan of Johnny Walker. I thought he was always going to come into the UFC and kind of, I don't want to say struggle, but you seen that knockout video that he gets knocked down like 4 times in the one fight in the space of like 30 seconds. It just sat in my mind every time that I thought of a Johnny Walker fight. And then you kind of pick your spots where you're going to fade him, and I managed to cash him brilliantly against Corey Anderson. Never seen really that one coming in, but then he's went to SBG and they've kind of changed him into a point fight, and that just doesn't suit him. He looked terrible, I thought, last time out against Thiago Santos. That was just a terrible fight, if we're being honest with you. But yeah, really interested. I think it's going to be tough for Johnny Walker to stop Jamal Hill, honestly. I think that guy looks so slick, so confident. I think that he learned a lot from that loss to Paul Craig. I think Jamal Hill's now he's adopted Scotsman. I think we kind of took him under our wing a wee bit. We'll support him. But yeah, let's see. Yeah, I'm going to go in here. Yeah, bud, they say sweet science, but I think it's fair to say UFC has developed into an art of its own right. Gone are the days when UFC was out of shape dudes with no skill. I mean, I was watching, I can't remember the year, I think it was 1996 was the first year that I watched MMA. Like I say, my dad's a boxing coach, and he's loves boxing. Doesn't like MMA. Don't know why, but he just doesn't, he would never watch it. But I remember coming across, I think it was UFC 2, 1 or 2, I'll probably say it was 2, and watched it, and it just instantly captivated me. Dudes slapping one another, pulling on like Royce Gracie's gi. It was just mad to me, and I think I was only 11 or 12 at that point, and it just kind of captivated me, and it just hooked me from the get go. As I kind of grew up, I had other things and other sporting things I was doing, so I kind of took my eye off a little bit. But then I kind of came back in my late teens, probably 16, 17 years ago, whenever that would have been. And since then, like I've been to so many events, watched so many fights. I love watching fights from all over the world, from Russia, from Poland, EFC in Africa. We've got stuff over here in the UK, Cage Warriors. Like there's not much. It's a little bit harder now, obviously, with kids. You don't get as much time there. I'm actually going to go and take my daughter to bed in the next 10, 15, 20 minutes. And it's hard. Like I say, I can't do nowhere near as much as I can nowadays in watching tape because kids want to watch something else and I can't stop late because I work like super early mornings, like 5 a.m. and then I'm getting back at like 5 p.m., 6 p.m., putting the kids to bed. Then it's going again. But yeah, I wouldn't have it any other way. It's just the way it is. Usman has a great physique. Yeah. Do you think certain countries do produce tougher fighters, or do you think it comes from the fighter, down to the fighter, and not necessarily where they're from? Well, I think your environment can shape you into being a tough fighter. We've seen that with, I think, Peter Yan coming from Siberia. Those guys in Russia are just straight up savages. Like they really are. They all work hard. They all go for it. They've got that kind of camaraderie as a kind of brotherhood a little bit, and even if you're not like the Nurmagomedovs, you're all like cousins. They all know each other. They all kind of support one another. You very rarely see them fight one another, and they just kind of breed tough fighters. I mean, you've got some. I'm sure you could probably see some spots here in Scotland that people come out and be tough. Like if you're through in like the certain part of Glasgow, if you're from Govan or wherever it could be, like I mean, places like that can kind of mold you into the fighter you are. Like I know. Some of the Brits, like your Michael Bisbin from Clitheroe. Like I said, I don't really know the area well, but I've kind of listened to numerous things here saying it wasn't the easiest spot. Like I say, you've just said they're Brazilians. If you come from the favelas there where you have nothing, and you've got the opportunity to fight for more, to grasp for more, that can mold you into a fighter and like mold you into having that desire to go for and look to better yourself, better your family's life, and do all that. So yeah, your logo looks like an 80s heavy metal album cover. Moise Audio, my man, hope you're well. Yeah, that's an old one that for the life of me I cannot remember who made it for me many moons ago, but I really do appreciate that. I really liked it, so I need to try and get better at this and try and make some of these thumbnails myself, and or pay someone to do it for me, something like that. So yeah, so I think I'll give you another couple of minutes here, and then because like I say, I'm going to put my daughter to bed. They've actually been super quiet since I came home like 3 hours ago, which is a little bit surprising because they're usually, especially my son now, he's 4 months old and he's started to find his voice and he's screaming out a little bit, but they've been very, very quiet actually. So I don't know if there's something on TV that they're watching, but I've got to go and put her to bed and read her some stories and then get my DraftKings lineups in order. And probably, I think I am going to make a couple of bets. That Moicano one, I have to make it. I like that submission plus 700 rounds 2 and 3 by submission. It's sticking out to me. I don't even have to put that much on to get a good chunk back. But yeah, but so like I say, really looking forward to tonight's card. I think that there is great fights to be had, great fighters to watch out for. Just DraftKings, I'm really thinking hard on DraftKings tonight because, like I said, I am very uncomfortable with the lineups that I've put together. Like I say, I usually like that. I'm kind of fading the main event quite a bit as well, even though I have said that I will be playing some Whittaker. Like out of the 20 lineups, I'm probably only going to have that maybe less than 25% of my total lineup. So, and I'm not. I don't even think I'm playing Adesanya in any lineup. I think the only 4 or 5 that I'm doing there is on Robert Whittaker, because I like the dog play at 7,000, I think he is there, and he opens up some space for those killers that you're going to need up top. Tonight's going to be a super high scoring night in DraftKings. I'm hoping I can take. It's actually been a really good start for the 3 events that I've had there. I've won numerous tickets to this one, which I've put into the big tournament tonight, and I've not lost any money in the 3 of them. I think I've made a couple of $100. So yeah, I'm looking forward to tonight's card. So I'll go back in here. Several Brazilian female fighters get stick online for the masculine appearance. Do you think it's Brazilians? Yeah, I mean, yeah, there is some kind of butch skulls out there. But like I say, each to their own. If that's the way they are, I mean, Gabby Garcia, I look at her and I'm like, shit. I'm like, what the hell have you been taking? You're like absolutely jacked to the tits. So, but like I say, Cyborg's come out there and she's run through gulls and very kind of. But that's the thing in Brazil as well. There's a lot of masculine gulls. I remember my friend went over there and he says that he saw so many like obviously beautiful women, but there was some chicks over there that could handle themselves, were pretty stacked up. So yeah, guys, I think I'm going to call it a night here. I'm going to get myself ready for these fights in about 3 hours' time, I believe. I'm going to get my daughter to bed. This is going to be something I'm going to do for every pay-per-view card moving forward. Like I say, I'm going to start looking to get probably some people in here to talk. There was a couple of guys that were going to come in, but they've had other things kind of show up. Like I say, this was just an impromptu thing that I've been wanting to do. So, guys, until Monday, my predictions for UFC Vegas 48 are going to be out. So, King Dale Clark says, thanks for answering the questions today, brother. Appreciate it. No problem at all. Like I say, if anybody wants to talk fights, I'm on Twitter at WillMartinMMA. I'm not on there as much as I used to be. Obviously, I'm a busier guy now with more kind of priorities, but I will always talk fights and get back to you as soon as I can. Until then, guys, all the very, very best. Enjoy the fights when they come around tonight. And let's go, Robert Whittaker.